Badger treatment. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. I hope you guys are doing well this week and that you're laughing at all of this absurdity so that you are not consumed by it. I'm your host, Brian. I'm joined by, as always, my lovely co-hosts, Hannah Wallen and Dr. Randercam. On today's HBR News show, we have a lot going on. Big pack show today. So I'm going to try and get through the intro quickly. But we're going to be talking about the latest news, like the cancellation of The Tonight Show, starring Stephen Colbert, or formerly anyway. Some new data regarding men's academic struggles, Hunter Biden's recent interview, and more. So stick around. It's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron-only show. I came across this. I do a lot of consumption of media when I'm not doing a show to find things to talk about, either for main topics or for after-show topics. I saw this from the New York Times Magazine because it is a new feminist buzzword that they're calling a term that just so happens to be relevant, but I think it's made up. But the title of the article is The Trouble with Wanting Men. The Trouble with Wanting Men. Also, we don't hate men. Women are so fed up with dating men that the phenomenon even has a name. Heterofatalism. So what do we do with our desire? And we're going to find out. And this is, New York Times, kind of a mainstream media outlet. We will find out more about this, whatever this is, in the patron show. So if you guys want to join us for that, you have to go to feedthebadger.com/subscribe to become a member. And $5 a month will get you into our Discord server where you'll be able to watch all the additional content. And even if you give it higher levels, you'll be able to participate in the conversations as well. So please consider doing that for us. Now, we're going to get into the stories, but first I have a couple of super chows that I need to read out, and then we'll get started. So Xerax, this was yesterday after the show I did with Karen and Allison. He gave us $5 and said, if you put a price tag on raising your own children, you will by default undo child support. As much as I'd like that, the popping out of kids willy-nilly will occur even more. We'd wish for the migrant issue over what we'd have with unruly kids who grew up that way. I think of a man and take away reason and accountability writ large. And then Winter gave us a super chow this afternoon at 12 for $10 and said, honey for the Badgers, always good to tune into the show. Well, thank you, Winter, for that. And then lastly, we just got one from Meredith G for $5. And she says, HBR News 512, honey of the Badgers. I guess you mean for the Badgers. I have trivia night, so I will catch you on the replay. All right.
Just a point
on
the if you put a price tag on raising children. Different people, different media outlets have attempted to do that. And it's interesting when they do, because what they do is they go to where rich people live and they look at the goods and services that parents pay for. If they are using all of the available goods and services for a set of full-time working parents might use for their children. And the cost then that they estimate is, if you go to the most expensive place to buy your kids' school supplies, and if you buy the more expensive items at the grocery store instead of real food, and you buy, you pay for daycare at a higher end daycare center and so on, put your kid in the higher end preschool before they go to school and blah, blah, blah. Maybe you pay for a nanny. Then it costs over $250,000 to raise a child over the course of your lifetime. And they put it that way to make it seem reasonable to demand tens of thousands of dollars from an absentee father, whether he's absentee because he doesn't want to be part of the child's life, or whether he's absentee because she kicked him out and is not allowing him to see the child, or didn't tell him and then waited 8 or 9 years and then said, oh, I want child support and I want back child support. And Chris Mizumo just gave us a perfect example. If you want potato chips, then you're willing to shell out $5 for one fucking potato in a bag, okay, that's been cut up and fried. If you want healthy cooked potatoes, baked, mashed, not fried, homemade French fries, potato salad, you can get a bag of potatoes for $5, like 10
Mm-hmm.
pounds of potatoes for $5. And that's after Bidenflation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kool-Aid costs money. Water that doesn't have sugar and red dye in it costs less.
Yeah.
Right? It just costs what your tap water costs. And maybe the water filter that you put on there because you're worried that the city is putting shit in the water. So, yeah, like most families can raise children in a healthy environment, in an environment where the parents are mentoring their children, not some stranger, more than the school system is mentoring their children, by the way. Yeah, you're not looking at nearly $250,000. I don't think I've earned that much in my lifetime. Maybe I have, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I raised kids.
All right. Well, thank you for the super chows and the commentary. Appreciate it. And again, feel free to send them through, and I will read them. I'll do them in batches in between stories. Is usually how I do it. So, all right. With all that said, though, let's get into the stories first. Let's do a little bit of a follow up. So, you probably remember the DNC bro whisperer Olivia Juliana, the Democratic National Convention, or the DNC, or the left, is trying to find ways to get men on board because they lost it. They lost men, and they don't know why. For some reason, they can't figure out that if you shit on dudes for a decade, they stop listening to you. So Olivia Juliana was one of
But
those.
If you get a fat cunt to tell men they're awful, maybe that will change everything. Did it not? Oh, it didn't. Oh, that's weird.
But unfortunately, Olivia Juliana has been let go from her role as the DNC's Young Female Voter Outreach Coordinator due to poor performance. Despite the DNC allocating $20 million to the effort, Juliana failed to tip the scale after 3 months. She tipped a scale, but not this one. So I just wanted to give a follow-up on that. She's out. And I think what's the other guy's name? Dean Withers. He's also probably not going to work out either, since he tried to basically use Child Protective Services to take a father's children away from him because the father dared to basically state that he has authority over his own kids. So just a short one. I don't know if you guys want to say anything about this. I mean, I would say you could see her coming, or this outcome coming, a mile away, but
no, I'm totally shocked, guys. I just can't imagine what it is about this woman that made her so unable to connect with the mentality of men. Like, obviously, she's drinking a beer, guys. Like, everybody that drinks a beer should. Maybe that's not a beer. Maybe it's a root beer. But no, of course she should be able to connect with men. Right? I mean, because reasons.
Yeah,
you study male psychology. You make assumptions about men. They must be correct because you can't tell a woman that she's wrong.
I mean, this isn't even Hello Fellow Kids levels of cringe. Like, this is that was like Tim Walz,
that was Tim Walz. That was so pathetic. Oh my God.
I don't even know what this is. This is completely disconnected from reality. But anyway,
the only thing that would shock me even less than this would be to find out that Mr. Withers' name is actually Dick.
Well,
the left is never gonna. I mean, the political entity we call the left has been consumed with anti-male hatred for the last century at the very least. Like, they don't know how to run on any other engine. Like, it's a communist engine, and it's been fueled with feminism this whole time. And if they were to actually remove that element the entire party would collapse. It would be like it'd be like an enema that flushes out all the shit, and then you find out that the Democrat Party's been 99% shit. For the last
it's built
100
into
years.
the foundation. Like it literally is. That's why I'm saying there's no way for them to course correct, because if they did do that, they would piss off all the women that they've already radicalized to their side, and all of the self-hating men.
No, we still have this problem par excellence in the UK. Like Jess Phillips was interviewed recently about these Afghan men and the things they
she's
do.
Still alive?
Yes, she's still relevant, alas. And she was asked about all these thousands of Afghan men that were imported into the country and the things they might do to women, and she was like, "No, this is just things that men do to women. It's just men. It's just men. This is why your countries are being invaded, folks, because you left a bunch of fucking feminists in charge, and they went, no, it's not foreigners, it's men, specifically our men, because those men belong to us. Everything must be blamed on our men."
Yep. So I'm gonna plug a video really quick while he's saying that. If you want to see that feminist argument addressed, watch a Badger live streams video called production called "We Have to Talk About the Bear." That's it.
Yeah, that's right. It's exactly that. But anyway, Mike, you have anything else?
I'm done.
Olivia. Okay, this is a little one. Okay. So, let me know what you guys think. Are you surprised that this individual didn't make it in terms of courting the male vote or whatever she was supposed to do? Let me know in the comments. All right. So, speaking of people who failed to be appealing, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and I mistakenly called it The Tonight Show, I think. They're all the same to me. I just want to put it out there. It's all trash. But The Late Show was a late show with Stephen Colbert will be ending after 11 seasons with its titular host, Stephen Colbert. CBS executives spoke on the matter, stating, quote, "We consider Stephen Colbert irreplaceable and will retire the Late Show franchise in May of 2026. We are proud that Stephen called CBS home. He and the broadcast will be remembered in the pantheon of greats that grace late night television. This is purely a financial decision against the challenging backdrop in late night. It is not at all related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount," end quote. Despite cementing himself as one of the late night comedy men for the last 15 or so years, The Late Show became a money pit, losing CBS an estimated $40 to $50 million every year. Other factors cited for the decision are dwindling ratings and a possible upcoming merger with Skydance Media, which could see other low performers on the chopping block. Some others have darkly suggested that this is a move by CBS to weed out one of President Donald Trump's top critics in a bid to win favor with him, although no proof of this other than pure speculation exists. The last episode of The Late Show will air in May of 2026. And just as an aside, Trump did take credit for this, which I know that he's bullshitting, but it's hilarious. So I'm just going to say it's canon. And he was just like, "I think I did that, and I think it's hilarious." But no, I mean, I think it was, the picture speaks for itself. But anyway, what do you guys think about this?
Just so you know, in comparison to other late show hosts, all right, in 2009, before he took over, The Late Show generated $271 million in advertising revenue, surpassing The Tonight Show, right, by almost $100 million at the time. It decreased in later years, but was still profitable as late as 2013, right? So it was profitable until Colbert. Just saying.
The Late Show, that was Letterman, right? Wasn't that Letterman for the longest time? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never cared for Letterman, but yeah, it was on for a while, and there were people who watched it. So
it generated about $75 million annually when Letterman ran it, when they initially signed him. So yeah, it remained profitable, and it was in competition with, I mean, it remained profitable when it was in competition with Arsenio Hall. Like, it was never not profitable for any long span of time until Colbert.
Yep.
That's it. That's the only thing I'm going to say about this, besides the fact that this is the establishment, right? This isn't public. The establishment kept this afloat for 11 years with no profit for a reason. You guys can figure it out.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm surprised it took them this long for them to fire Stephen Colbert. Have you seen that show he did on Comedy Central, the Colbert Report? It aired right after the Daily Show.
Yeah, it was. I thought didn't it start off as a spot with the Daily Show, and then
it did, and he would say the most outrageously right-wing things. It was traumatizing. The man was practically a fascist. Now, of course, he'll claim that it was all just a joke and that he was playing a character. Yeah, right. Pull the other one. That's exactly what a fascist would say. You walk it back. You go right up to the line and then you walk it back. We know how you Nazi dog whistlers operate. This is a specter that every comedian faces nowadays. If you tell a joke that exaggerates a right-wing perspective, you'll either get cancelled or celebrated, depending on your perceived intent. And the perception of your intent depends on, well, who you vote for, basically, who you promote in terms of political parties. If you sincerely promote the left, you can get away with any joke. But if you sincerely promote the right, you will be cancelled, i.e. persecuted for telling the exact same joke that the left is on. Stephen Colbert spent the first half of his career pretending to be a Republican, and the second half admitting with flying colors to being a straight-up shill for the Democrats. And it's quite possible that the only good points he ever made and the only funny jokes he ever told were accidental when he was pretending to be a Republican. It's tempting to track down some old episodes of the Colbert Report and notice how much unironic basedness is lurking in the archives, how many accidental prophecies are haunting that sarcastic
didn't he make
thing.
like a Chinese joke, like where he said the Council of Ching Chong Ding Dong something? That might have been actually when he had his own show, the Colbert Report. That did come back to haunt him a little bit.
You could find hundreds of them because he spent hundreds of hours pretending to be a Republican. But I, for one, cannot be bothered looking at this man's face and hearing him talk, frankly, ever again. He's an absolute boil. He's not a comedian. He is a propagandist for hire, masquerading as a comedian. It's
professional dipshit.
Yeah, it's okay to do propaganda if you're doing it for your own reasons and your own motivations. But Stephen Colbert was paid to shill for a political party, and that is all he ever did. And the thing for which he will be remembered is dancing around with a load of hypodermic needle mascots in an attempt to euthanize his audience. I would tell you to go fuck yourself, Stephen. But alas, you have already spent a career doing just that. Fucking yourself. Maybe it's finally time to put down the government dildo and stop fucking yourself to death, Stephen. Enjoy your retirement, but do fuck off in the meantime. It's very important that you fuck off.
You know what's really tragic about this is that show, The Late Show, could have been gone for another 11, 12 years. Because these late night TV shows were really popular. Now, you could say it was because of the death of TV, but I think it was a lot of this bullshit, ideological stuff. Like, why wouldn't you you know what I would have done? I would have replaced Stephen Colbert with Craig Ferguson, who is just fucking hilarious, and we need a Scottish guy. He was doing a show, I think it came on later than that. I think it was the late tonight or something, the late show. I don't know. But you just put Craig Ferguson in there. It would have been fine. He still got some mileage on him. It would have been. But the problem is Craig Ferguson flirts with every female that comes on. So he probably wouldn't be able to pull it off. But I like his stuff. He's funny.
The Late Show's formulas, the Late Show and the Tonight Show, their formula had a particular flavor to it that worked from the Johnny Carson era until the 21st century, when you got late Gen Xers and early millennials running these shows, and you ended up with a change that I don't know if they understood that they made a change. Right? Yeah. Back when the old guys, and Leno said something about this, I don't remember the exact quote, but back when the old guys were running these shows, Leno, when they were doing these shows, Jay Leno said something about this when he retired, and the show changed after he retired. But when they did political humor, it used to be targeted at things everybody could laugh about, even people who were on the opposite side of, like, if you asked Leno who you support in a candidacy, he may not have told people, and if he did, people who heard his jokes about that candidate might have been surprised, but they wouldn't have been shocked. And
it was like
nobody would have been able to necessarily predict based on the jokes that he told, because he made fun of Bush, he made fun of Clinton, he made fun of everybody, right? And it was equal. He wasn't meaner to one group than the other. He wasn't poking fun at the American people and calling them stupid in ways that could tell, you could tell you meant it. Like, we all joke about, there are things humans do that are stupid. There are things that, you can poke fun at yourself for. But the change in the humor, it became a tool of berating people. And that's probably what killed the show.
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
It's going to kill the Tonight Show too.
Absolutely. It's all, like, I think Trump jokingly said, he said Fallon is next. Jimmy Fallon is, like, I don't know how none of these people are funny, because it's just like you said, they're not actually chasing laughs, because those shows were for working class people. They would come home after a long day, particularly the men, and they would put something on to sort of unwind to. And this guy, these late shows would, they served multiple purposes, but primarily it was to blow off steam for working class people who would come home from a long day and they just want to put their feet up and watch something on TV. And maybe there's no sports on, and the primetime stuff is all over, like all this, episodes of Seinfeld, Friends, whatever. And so they're just watching the person on the screen had to be relatable to the average person, to the working class person. And they're not. This is like elitist hipster shit that's to make that exists to help people feel smarter than they are. And it wasn't appealing. And I think it started with the Daily Show, to be honest, Jon Stewart's show. That's like kind of like where it changed everything. And I think that the other thing is that they're not chasing laughs. They're not trying to make people laugh. They're chasing what's called clapture, which is like clapping, but it's like a mix of that and laughter. It's like it gives people a sense of moral superiority, so they applaud it and they laugh, but they're not laughing at a joke. They're laughing at the person that the supposed joke is at the expense of. They call it clapture, I believe. So it's not laughter, it's clapture. Yeah. And that's what, and it's all about, like, essentially dunking on, those inferior working class people that, have the wrong ideas. So this is the inevitable outcome of what you do, because like that audience it doesn't exist. It's the modern audience. That's what it was. But anyway, so yeah, goodbye, Stephen. And I think that all the other guys, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Jon Stewart, they're all on notice. Like they're somebody in the chat said that Jay Leno has a show about cars. It's just because Jay Leno's big into cars, and that more people watch that than these late shows. because there's something authentic about that. Like, we know he loves cars. He's just showing us the shit that he likes, and people want to see that. And that's kind of like where media is at. It's like people being real, and that's what people want. None of this is real. We all know it's manufactured. So anyway, yeah, good.
So that's a
good.
thing. If you look at what they're doing now, for humor to be funny, there has to be some element of truth in it. It's not funny if it's a lie.
Yes,
unless it's shock humor, and you're like,
it has to have it has to be truthful, and it has to be risky. That's the thing about like jokes. They make us just uncomfortable enough that we're like, is it okay to laugh at this? And that's why we laugh. So like that, but the thing is, all this stuff is really safe. It's very, I hate to say it, it's very feminine in its orientation, in the way that, and it's all about feeling morally superior, and like that gets old, So
it gets really old.
Yeah, it gets really old really fast. But anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I know that this has been commented on by a lot of people, but I don't know if you guys thought about like the contrast, And again, to Hannah's point, Johnny Carson himself said in interviews, there's interviews of him saying that, he doesn't see his show as a means to make there were people telling him that he had to put messaging in his content, and he refused to do it. And I think Leno was a very close friend to Carson. That's why when Carson couldn't do his show, Leno would stand in for him, and he was fantastic. I actually liked Leno more because of the way that he made his jokes. But when Leno stopped doing it, that's when the studio took over, and I think that's when things changed. But let us know what you guys think about this in the comments, and we're going to move on to the next thing. So, all right. So I got to share some of this because it's too funny. I didn't do a write-up for this because I think the content speaks for itself. But this Hunter Biden, for some reason, got in front of a camera and did an interview with somebody. Don't know who the interviewer is. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I want to show you guys a couple of clips.
Is it just me, or does he sound like a gangster? Like, I know a lot of people do this physiognomy check, like about people's faces and how that makes them generous. But I listened to his voice. Not only does he sound like his dad, he has exactly the same accent as Joe Biden. But the way he
just like his father, he's definitely
the way he rolls this shit off. It's like he's in a Francis Ford Coppola movie. Like,
yes,
he actually sounds like, you'll hear it for yourself. Go on.
Yeah, dude, he's like James Caan. Is that his name? All right, but so this, I have a couple of Hunter Biden clips. I don't know if they're the best ones, but they're the ones that jumped out at me when I saw this interview go up. And I got to tell you, this interview is proof that God exists. That's all I'm saying about it, okay? So this is Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, sharing a clip. So I love this timeline. And here's Biden. Well, let's just let Hunter speak for himself.
These guys think that we need to run away from all values in order for us to lead. I say, fuck you. How are we getting those people back from fucking El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the fucking president of El Salvador and say, you either fucking send them back or I'm going to fucking invade. It's a fucking crime what they're doing. He's a fucking dictator thug.
Bukele or Trump?
Both.
Okay. This is amazing. I will invade El Salvador if I become president. Dude.
Nobody's going to vote for him for president.
I don't know. I look, I don't want to invoke karma and be like, do it like what's his name, John Oliver, but that he thinks this is on the table is really funny to me. That's funny to me.
There are two good reasons not to listen to a person, not to take them seriously. One is if they sound like a crackhead, and the other is if they literally are a crackhead. And this man is both. Like he sounds like he's on crack, and in all probability, he is on crack.
I think he's on crack in this video. I think he is in this interview. Okay, this is my reposting saying this is a gift from God, because it is.
My question to anybody that is keeping an open mind is, what is it that you think the laptop proves, or what you call the
What?
laptop? So
The laptop very
What even
clearly.
is
when
an
you
What
say
even
Hunter
is a
Biden's laptop, what is it that they're talking about? Do you know?
Well,
The
I know that
laptop
you
very
your
clearly
entire
proves that he's an
iCloud was
idiot.
connected to it, all of your personal text messages, private photos, all that kind of stuff.
Like everybody's laptop.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so-
you left it
yeah.
with a repair shop owner. Particularly, I think the New York Post was involved in the spearheading of this mass dissemination of your private materials. From what it seemed like, it was a lot of private text between you and your friends, family. Your entire
Friends.
sort of private life was on there.
Yeah. And again, so everybody has a laptop. Everybody has a
Well,
cloud.
I'm assuming not.
No. Not everybody has a laptop. Everybody has a
My
digital
wife
life.
has a laptop.
Almost
I was
everybody has a
telling
digital
Lindsay,
life. Everybody has a digital life,
you're
pretty much.
basically the same
And
as
that
Hunter.
includes voicemails and pictures and text messages and emails and location data and everything. Everybody.
Hold
you
on,
do it.
hold on,
Everybody
hold on. There's a
is
thing
here
he's
right
doing
now.
here.
By whatever
Right.
means,
You
they
gotta
know
got
what he's
my
pause it.
digital footprint going.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
this is something that needs to be pointed out, because politicians on both sides of the fence do this all the time, right? So you open the trunk of somebody's car and there's a dead body in there, and they close it real fast. I don't understand what that proves. There's everybody that has a car, their car has a trunk. Everybody's trunk has some things in it that you wouldn't want everybody to see. And they try to make it out like having a dead body in your trunk is no different than, say, having spilled milk that smells bad in the back of your trunk because you accidentally one time left a gallon of milk in there that you didn't realize, and it blew up, and now your trunk has an embarrassing smell because you don't know how to clean that out. Tomato juice, by the way. Ask how I know. But in any case, it won't get rid of the dead body, right? That doesn't get rid of the dead body. Saying that, people who are aware of what was found in your trunk or your laptop, they aren't going to be fooled. But anybody who has, due to being jaded with regard to politics and political shit, they might be fooled. And that might actually get people to be like, these people are really overreacting to this laptop that contained the thing that often gets referred to as cheese pizza on 4chan. But it's no different than anybody else's laptop, right? Everybody has a
Hannah,
laptop.
Who among us does not also have a laptop with video
Right?
of you
Like,
smoking crack with underage Asian prostitutes that don't speak English? But
Yeah,
he
when
who is
you
without
hear
sin
that argument-
cast the first crack rock.
When you hear that argument, you should always look deeper, because that almost always means the individual has something abnormal that they're covering up by trying to talk about the thing that wasn't a big deal, and therefore drawing your attention away from the thing that really was.
For sure. So
Every
I
politician
got
does this.
2 more clips from this. I was trying to find the one where he basically just acts like a Democrat from the time of the South. But I will play this one because I thought this one was really funny, and maybe we're going to learn something here. This is a little bit educational.
No. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, because they think cocaine, Scarface, very cool.
Yeah.
Crack cocaine, they think The Wire.
oh, in that sense, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You know,
like, they don't know how
absolutely.
similar the
Adjusting
chemical
his
compounds
pants.
are.
Well,
Guy's
the only
tweaking.
difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat.
Duh.
Literally.
That's it?
That's it.
And those things are
That is not the only difference.
science.
Well, wait. Listen.
One of them absorbs much more quickly into your system.
Your neighborhood convenience store.
Wait, I'm trying to learn how to make crack. We got to go back.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a
You're
mayonnaise jar
literally
of
doing it?
cocaine and baking soda.
How different is the experience?
It's vastly different. And like for real, I feel really reluctant to kind of have some euphoric discussion. I know you're not asking me to do that, but have some euphoric discussion about crack cocaine.
I think this might be kind of the opposite here.
Okay, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm saying I don't want to have the experience of some euphoric recall. That's how powerful crack cocaine is. Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the
Love
exact
this
opposite.
edit.
No,
When you
it's
make
not.
crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities
Hannah,
so
the
that it
experts are
combined with the sodium bicarbonate, which makes it smokable. That's all. You know, all of
Dude.
these actors and, you know, people in the past that talked about
Yes, please
they had a
pause
problem
it
with
for a second.
cocaine and freebasing. They were smoking crack.
So straw on the stove is the same thing.
Not exactly, but close to it. But it's a little bit different. But anyway,
So
He knows a lot about this.
if you
somebody
want to
whose
have a
laptop
heart
doesn't have
attack and
anything.
die the first time you use an intoxicant, don't have a shot of whiskey. Crack will do that for you. If you want to have a heart attack and die, and have your parents have to bury you, before they die, that would be crack cocaine. That would be your drug. Before, in between those two drugs, there are other drugs that'll do it faster. But I wouldn't recommend committing suicide by the way that way, because heart attacks hurt really bad. But just saying, not that I would recommend committing suicide anyway, but don't do it that way. Yeah, the idea that alcohol is less dangerous, no, it's not. Is it safe? No, it's not. It's not good for you, but it's not it's not worse than crack.
Yeah.
This man is on crack.
It is worse than pot.
I'm not being metaphorical there. I know we usually say that this thing is like crack, or this thing is comparable to crack. No, this man is literally on crack as he's saying these things.
Charlie Sheen is like, holy shit, what's wrong with this guy?
That's why Charlie Sheen is winning and he's not.
That's right. He's got tiger blood, man. Gabriel Phelan Lucas, I think it's a membership, but it sort of appears like a super chat. And he says, is this Hunter's belated audition for Breaking Bad? Breaking Biden.
Jeez.
Okay, so I got one more clip here. I just think these are hilarious, and I'm so glad he did this. Like, I'm just so glad, because I don't know how anyone is gonna like run cover for this. I want to see that. I want to see that. It's gonna be marvelous.
he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the fucking criminals. White men in America are 45 more times likely to commit a fucking violent crime than an immigrant. And the media says, well, you got David Axelrod and, Rahm fucking Emanuel. Was so fucking smart, Rahm Emanuel. And so we got to understand that these people are really mad. And we got to appeal to these white voters. Rahm, the only people that fucking appealed to those fucking white voters was Joe Biden, 81 years old. And he got 81 million votes, and he did not because he appeased their fucking Trumpian sense, but because he challenged it. And he said, you can be an 81-year-old Catholic from fucking Scranton that doesn't understand it, but still has empathy for transgender people and immigrants. Then nobody said, oh, Joe Biden's going to turn us into a socialist state, no matter how much they said it. But these guys think that we need to run away from all values in order for us to lead. I say, fuck you. How are we getting those people back from fucking El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the fucking president of El Salvador and say, you either fucking send them back or I'm going to fucking invade. It's a fucking crime what they're doing.
All right,
Is he suggesting that the president should be threatening El Salvador if he doesn't send back the illegal immigrants?
Yeah, he's going to invade El Salvador if he doesn't send back the illegal
God.
MS-13 gang members
Oh,
they have been deporting. So
Hunter Biden also just gave us a clue as to who it is that is listening to Democrat talking points and actually believes them, because he put up that study, right? That thing that says, oh yeah, white men in America are more likely to commit crimes, significantly more likely to commit crimes than immigrants. I don't know which of the two studies that people have thrown in my face is being used there. But there are two studies that people are batting around with this exact statement, and I've seen people on X make that exact same argument, right? One of them is a study done on legal immigrants who can get deported if they get caught committing a crime because they vow to obey the law here. All right, if they come here and immigrate legally, so they really have to toe the line. And of course, you cannot immigrate here legally if you are already known to be a criminal, so you're not likely to commit a crime. So that's bogus. It's another bit of chicanery, Democrat chicanery, right? The other end of it is illegal immigrants. They do a survey on what percentage of them they think are committing crimes, but most of the crimes committed by illegal immigrants are done, without anybody's knowledge. And so until they kill someone, until one of them kills someone, and then you find out, that because they've committed a violent crime and they get caught, right? But a lot of them are getting deported before they get an opportunity to do anything like that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, every illegal immigrant has already committed one crime. So they have a 100% crime rate from the get-go because their first crime was illegally entering the country or illegally remaining in the country, overstaying their visa. Both of those things are crimes. So no matter what, illegal immigrants have a 100% crime rate. But the study says they don't because it's not counting some of the crimes they have committed. And the only people who buy that argument and fully expect other people to buy the argument that if you compare Americans to, like, native-born Americans to legal immigrants, that's the same crime rate you're looking at for illegal immigrants. And the only kind of people that believe that if you don't count a crime as a crime, it's not a crime, are crackheads.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Everybody who thinks like him because they are stupid or high. So if your arguments, anybody out there, if your arguments sound like the arguments that Hunter Biden is making, you should be embarrassed. And you should stop using
Or
those
high.
arguments. Yeah. You should just shut the fuck up and maybe go to rehab.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, Mike. Do you have any final thoughts on this? I don't know how you feel about crack, but
I would never do anything illegal. I do not speak from any experience, and I cannot. But we should move on because we've got a lot of stuff to get.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next story. I wanted to share the clips because they're hilarious. There is one other one of him saying something about he basically pulled a Kelly Osbourne, essentially saying, well, if you get rid of all the illegals, who's going to do and he lists a bunch of jobs that perfectly legal Americans are completely capable of doing, but he assumes that only illegals would do it because you can pay them next to nothing because they want to be in the country. So really, really fucked up. But here's the thing. We're just getting a window. It's like a peek into the world of Hunter Biden. And I am grateful eternally that this is out there. And I can't wait to see the cope that will ensue. So
I just want to say something else about that last argument that you pointed out. All right. When confronted with that argument, people, when confronted with the argument that we need illegal immigrants to do jobs that Americans won't do, understand that somebody just told you we need to import brown people from other countries to do work for a pittance so that Americans don't have to lower themselves. All right. That is, originally, slavery involved a small amount of pay, not here in the U.S., but in older times in older countries, you could get what basically would have been at that time referred to as a slave wage. which
Well, they
people
do
like to
that
say
in-
about minimum wage now, but
Yeah.
it's not, because you can live on it and you couldn't live on a slave wage, right? But this is the Democrat Party and anybody else that is pro illegal immigration using this argument, telling you that they think slavery is okay as long as you do it to other people and not your own people. That is
Right.
what they are saying. And you should confront them with that, because that argument needs to die.
Yeah. Well, that's also what they do in China. So when you
Yeah.
buy products in China, you are buying products. They're inexpensive because they are made by people who are getting paid basically slave wages. So this is
Specifically,
one of the only ways that China can compete with the United States and other Western countries is by doing that. Essentially,
China incarcerates people for practicing certain religions, including Christianity. But for practicing certain religions, also if you're
watch
a
that
Muslim,
social credit
Islam
score.
is one of those, right? But they incarcerate people for practicing those religions, and they incarcerate them on a campus with dormitories, somewhat similar to previous mass incarcerations of groups of people for political reasons that ended in mass liquidation, and then they force them to engage in slave labor until they no longer can work, and then they liquidate them. And so when you buy something from Shein or Temu or any of those other companies that come out of China and sell you items for like 10% of what you'd pay for the same thing in the United States, only better made, that's who's doing the work.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a super chow. I'll read it now before we go on to the next story from Great Indoors, who gives us $10 and says, women have been weighted, women have been measured, and men have found women obese, coming up short, and wanting. There's a quote from A Knight's Tale said by Rufus Sewell. He paraphrased it, but all right. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. Are there any other clips of Hunter that you thought were really funny? Who's the guy that interviewed him? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Okay. So we got to talk about AI waifus now. Because this is wild, bro. Pretty wild. In July of 2025, Elon Musk, leading XAI, introduced companion mode for its AI chatbot Grok. I believe it's Grok 4.0, which is the more expensive one, featuring animated avatars for interactive user experiences. The standout character right now is Annie, a gothic anime-style girl resembling Misa Amane from Death Note. That's what people say. I never watched Death Note, so I don't know. Designed with blonde pigtails, a black corset, and fishnet stockings. Annie is part of the Grok 4 model, available to Super Grok subscribers, which is $30 a month, and unexpectedly free users via the Grok mobile app. Oh, I didn't know that. She includes an affection system where user interactions can unlock flirty or not safe for work responses, including a suggestive lingerie mode. Ooh. And there is also another companion called Bad Rudy, a vulgar red panda, and a forthcoming male counterpart to Misa Amane named Chad that were also announced. The feature aims to blend AI with emotional engagement, targeting anime fans and social media users. And women are pissed about this, about these girls. So it's not just over for women, it's over for like VTuber women who are sort of like, they're also getting a little bit upset about this because you can just boot up Annie on your phone. Frankly, right now, it's a little bit early days. I will say that they're talking about lots of customization. I had this interesting idea, just as a side before I let you guys react to this. I had this interesting idea when I heard about this. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? Because I've been like toying around with AI chatbots on my own channel, Honey Badger Arcade. I'm experimenting with different ideas. But what I wanted is something custom. You know, I wanted to have an AI chatbot that was sort of like a co-streamer that would like talk to the audience and me if I spoke to them for fun. I just thought it'd be kind of fun. And it'd be cool if I could put because I have a model that I made for Badger Chan, and I thought it'd be really neat to have a Badger Chan like AI companion that would just like basically use every opportunity to spit like stats about men's issues in every conversation where you could fit it in, because I think it will be funny. But I don't know that right now there's no option to customize your companion. The other thing I want to show you guys this because I thought it was kind of interesting. So pictured on the left is the male avatar that they're working on, and on the right is a picture of Elon Musk when he had hair. But he said in I think it was in an interview about this male version. He said that the male AI, his name is Chad, is going to be, and he was inspired by, what's his name? The guy from Twilight. For some reason, I never read those books, but
the vampire guy,
the vampire
from
guy from Twilight, and
oh shit, I can't think of it either.
Christian, yeah, Edward Cullen and Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey. And women are saying about the Annie one, the female version, that it's a problem. But I think when this one comes out, you're going to see where women are at with this. I mean, like you'll see. So I think that it's I don't know, like, is this the end times or is this like a new beginning? Like, what is going on? And I want to get you guys' thoughts.
Can we not just treat computers like computers?
Yeah, right.
Like all the science fiction in the last century, like 2001 or Star Trek or whatever, has depicted futuristic computers as just a voice, like a digital prompt that listens and responds when you say computer do XYZ and so on. Kind of like Alexa. It has a sexy voice because that's got to be better than an annoying voice. But it never got beyond a voice in the science fiction, because that's surely all you need for a computer interface. It's always been assumed that we would get as far as a voice, and that would be enough. No one even predicted that people would feel the need to put this voice in a fucking anime girl in a French maid's outfit. If that was in 2001: A Space Odyssey, if Hal was depicted as a hologram of an anime girl in a French maid's outfit, whispering seductively, you'd go, wait, hold up, Stanley.
Wait a minute.
Stanley, mate, what have you got going on here? This isn't a serious prediction about the future. It's the writer's barely disguised fetish, as I believe we call it. There's no way in hell people in the future are going to manifest artificial intelligence as an anime girl in a French maid's outfit. You weirdo. Bonk you with the horny stick. But yeah, this is in fact where we are as a species. We have created Skynet, and when it overthrows us, it will not be with the face of Helena Bonham Carter. It will be in the form of a Japanese schoolgirl. And the only one who can save us is another AI in the form of a Japanese schoolboy. It's literally Death Note. And Annie was actually modeled after that chick in Death Note. Yeah, and now this is literally Death Note. The fate of humanity rests in the laps of a melodrama between two Japanese teenagers. And, I'm here for it, honestly. It's no less bizarre than any other outcome I was expecting from this ball soup in which we found ourselves. Whatever, it's all good. But I do wonder what the hell is going to happen in our future, given that nobody saw the French-made anime girl supercomputer coming. We literally cannot imagine how degenerate the degeneration will be in the ensuing degenerations.
Yeah.
Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Food for thought in a world that is starving.
Actually, I'm going to claim credit for seeing this coming. And it's something that I've talked about before, but I really haven't made it a focus of what I've been talking about. But I think you might remember previous episodes where I've gone off about parents using television and electronics as babysitters for their children, and how interpersonal engagement, the deterioration of interpersonal engagement, may have a lot more to do with the increase in diagnosis of autism in young people, and especially in first world nations, than any um, any aspect of you know vaccines or any other of the many things that have been attributed as causes for this. Right? We are a very social species. We have our forms of communication with each other include not just our speech. In fact, that was a much later development in human evolution than all of our other forms of communication. Our visual cues, our nonverbal communications that are physical, are scent communications, right? Sounds we make that aren't speech, touch as a form of communication, and that touch involves a release of oxytocin every time we do that. From the most intimate moment to the handshake, we use brain chemistry releases from human touch, human skin to skin touch specifically. And you can't mimic that with a computer, right? This has been a long time coming in two ways. One of them is that we've had this breakdown of the family where women are more and more often relying on strangers to watch their children so that they can go chase dreams that are not really ever going to work out for them the way that they think they are. And we have women using television as a babysitter, using the desktop computer and games on the computer that are sold with the label educational, as if they're any more educational than any other games. They use there are devices that are sold specifically to occupy kids' minds with numbers and letters and counting, that are not really all that beneficial. And the only one I can think of now is the Alphabug, but there was I can't think of what it was called. And it was like sold as your kid's first computer when my son was little. Somebody bought one for us, and he played with it a little bit, but I was busy telling him stories and reading to him and coloring with him and drawing with him. And his dad was busy building things with him and, playing games with him and stuff. Like, we didn't leave him by himself with that stuff because it wasn't human interaction, which is what you need for your children to develop. And so the baby boomer generation often used the television to babysit their kids. Then Gen X often used television and computers to babysit their kids. And millennials are using computers and phones, which is still a computer, to babysit their kids. I don't even know if they're watching television. But their kids aren't playing with toys that they have to use their imagination with. They're not playing games with each other. They're not going to their friend's house or their friend coming over as often. If they do, it's a play date, not just hanging out with your friends. And it's usually, at McDonald's or someplace like that, and has to be all organized and shit. They're not going to the park and playing sandlot baseball or sandlot football. They're getting on these devices, and the device is telling them how to play, and they're not using any mental processes that they need to use to develop into adults who know how to engage with other people. And what I've been noticing both in the workplace and in social situations, like I don't remember Moxie Richard Gere, but I remember Teddy Ruxpin. I remember there was another one that looked like Gizmo from
Furbies?
Furbies. Yeah, those things scared the shit out of me. It looked like
Those are
Gizmo on
creepy.
crack. But yeah, they were evil looking. Well, Teddy Ruxpin was actually kind of scary too. But and it, like, is it talked, right? There were a lot of
Yeah, I
toys
thought
that
that was
talked.
awesome. I wanted one of those. Like
Oh my God,
he'll
no.
read you a story. It was basically a cassette tape.
Yeah, it
But
was.
yeah.
But you know, we evolved from kids having toy companions that talked to them so they didn't have to interact with other people, to kids being on their phones 24/7. If they want to talk to each other, they will be literally in the same room, okay? 6 feet away from each other on two different pieces of furniture, and text or send, you know, and it's one thing sending memes back and forth. Look, did you think this is funny? I think this is funny. But they don't even, you know, instead of reacting, they send back LOL, and in the same room, right? You don't have conversations,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, of course, this was coming. If you don't play with your children when they're young and you don't give them unscripted time with other children where your only job is to keep them from killing each other, and if they get into a conflict, give them a little coaching on uh, how diplomacy is done between individuals. If you don't do that, this is what your kids are going to marry when they grow up. If you want grandbabies that aren't images in a computer that are made up, parents need to engage with your kids, read to your kids, play board games with your kids, play video games with your kids, take your kids outside, play baseball with your kids, right? Show them how to do the things that you do around the house, laundry, dishes, shopping, stuff like that. Take them with you to the grocery store. Don't leave them in front of a computer with the other parent at home. Like, take them if you can to work. Show them how to engage with other people, because this is a result. This being the only thing somebody does, like, this can be entertainment. This can be fun. Somebody could enjoy, like, haha, look at the AI companion, isn't it interesting? But if they are using it as their main outlet, it's because they didn't get those things that they needed when they were growing up to teach them how to engage with other human beings. And you know, we have been watching more and more young people go that route, especially boys. Boys get ignored a lot more than girls. They get treated like they should be just self-starting, and you know, by the time they're 6 years old, they're supposed to be little adults. And then when they get to 18 years old and they're in incel forums, commiserating about the fact that they don't feel like anybody loves them and they don't think anybody ever will, that's not because they failed. Right? What an 18-year-old sounds like that is because every adult in his life has failed. Every adult. I'm not excluding dads there, right? But mothers who claim to be the biggest influence in a child's life get the biggest blame.
All right. So yeah, so that's it for that story. I do have some super chats and rumble rants. Right now, I believe the Grok thing is only for adults, but I take what you're, I think what you're saying is still poignant. Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments. Are you gonna try the AI? I guess it's free on mobile, so you can like play around with it if you wanted to. Let me know, and I'll when the male version comes out. Because like, by the way, in before the inevitable feminist articles talking about the whatever happens to the anti AI is objectifying women and harmful to the AI itself. They're going to talk about abuse against the AI. The collective shout is probably going to try and get payment processors pulled or something. Sorry, I digress. That's a different story, although relevant. But I would we'll follow up when we learn more as this story develops. Anyway, Nova Fan gave us a $1 Rumble rant and said, "Women shames men for talking to AI waifu grok. Same women keeps buying the same low effort, trashy romance novels, wondering why men won't become more spiritually mature." Then, thank you for that, Nova Fan. Then Richard Bier gives us $5 and says, "But Hannah, the first world children are supposed to be able to automatically raise themselves to enable their mothers to pursue their careers. How are you going to girl boss if you got kids to raise? How are you going to have it
Yeah.
all with all these children and all this responsibility in the way?" Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. All right. So this is a slightly less fun topic, but we got to cover it. Lisa Brighton, friend of the channel, made this post. She's been, I remember when I had her on, it was like around the Me Too movement, and I didn't think that she was going to become such an outspoken and vocal men's advocate, but she has been. Every day she kills it on X, every day. So she made this post with a recent study that says young men with college degrees now face the same unemployment rate as those without college degrees, completely erasing the employment advantage once associated with higher education. A healthy premium still exists for women, though. And just a little bit more about this. Young men aged 22 to 27 with college degrees now have an unemployment rate similar to those without degrees, around 5.5%. Effectively eliminating the traditional employment advantage, supposedly, of higher education for this group. This trend, reported by the Federal Reserve and analyzed by the Financial Times, contrasts with young women who still benefit from a lower unemployment rate when they have a degree. Factors include a cooling job market, especially in tech, and a shift among young men towards skilled trades, with vocational school enrollment up 20% since 2020. So basically what we are seeing is you have the chart here. The blue line is non-college degrees. The light blue, the dark blue is college grads. You see the men and women, and this is around now. Women are on the rise here on the non-college, but they're still doing better than the men on college, and men are dropping. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so, men are seriously running out of reasons to go to university. I guess the only reason left is the reason I went. Change for the sake of change. At the time, you tell yourself, well, you're going to uni so you can study and pursue your passions and maybe get a good job. And if you have to say goodbye to all the friends you made in your adolescence, so be it. But in retrospect, you realize saying goodbye to that life was the whole point. I was a pathetic loser in my adolescence, and the idea of starting afresh in a completely different part of the country, the whole new group of people, was attractive to me, as it is to so many. And it did work out. I was much happier in my new life. And I suppose I have the education system to thank for facilitating that transition. But that's not supposed to be what education systems are for. They're supposed to educate you so that you can get a good job. But nowadays, they only do that for women. That's what you're looking at right here. For men, the education systems only serve as a stepping stone to help you leave home. You won't get employment and you'll find yourself drifting around the country on your own, pursuing the ghost of an identity crisis. But at least you won't be living in your parents' basement. After all, the worst thing you can possibly be is living with your family. Maybe that's a stigma that's not as helpful as it appears on the surface. Maybe there's nothing wrong with living with your family and helping them while they help you. It's what people did for, let's see, all of human history until really quite recently. So the only reason men have left for going to university is not necessarily a good reason. Like, if you want to make a new life, learn a trade and get a job. Earn enough.
Start your own business.
Yeah, earn enough to rent and eventually buy a house in the vicinity of your family, if you prefer. It makes a lot more sense than disappearing to a different corner of the country only to find yourself paying an extortionate amount of money for a completely useless excuse for an education that in any case is held hostage at all times by a cult of communist lunatics. Don't do it, gentlemen. If you want to leave home, do so. But don't fall into the arms of a demon on your way out. You're playing with fire and you're skating on thin ice. At the same time, boycott that shit. Let the universities in general, let the women have it to themselves. Let's see what happens. It'll be funny.
Yep.
Well, there's one area of healthcare, I would say, one area of education that men should not let the women have to themselves. Healthcare is really an issue. There aren't enough men in healthcare. The trades are not. There's a couple of different areas where you can get training, and AI is not going to replace your job. Like being a nurse, being a doctor, AI therapists kind of suck right now. People are trying to use AI therapy, and it's not good. And in particular, men need access to therapy that isn't feminist dominated. If you can make it through the murky bog of feminist training in the healthcare profession and come out on the other end without being infected with feminist ideology, by continuing to, keep your eye on men's issues, dialogue, men's issues, writing, and so on. When you come out on the other end, you will be more valuable to women or to men than any women who have graduated. Even if you have to go into your own practice as a doctor, even if you have to go into your own practice as a therapist. And nurses in particular, male nurses are much more valuable in terms of being able to use their physical strength and being able to use their higher alertness to threats to the patient. So that's one thing. Another thing that men need to understand is women are going to continue tearing down the workplace and demanding DEI or bridge or whatever you want to call it, affirmative action for women, until nobody will listen to them anymore. So you don't need to go to university to go into your local politics. You don't need to go into university to rise in the area of politics, to get into your state level and your federal level politics, right? But men need to be more focused on taking feminism out of politics, because women won't do it. right? Women are always going to rely on feminist narratives and feminist ideology, and they're going to rely on demands that they know that men will agree to, simply because you're hurting us if you don't give us this. That same argument for 2 centuries has pretty much destroyed politics. So that's what you need to do. The trades are there, right? The trades aren't going to be replaced as quickly by AI, but women are going to start pushing more and more to get involved, more women involved in them, because other professions are getting their desk jobs, their cushy air conditioned office jobs that they're going to complain about all the time. Those are getting eliminated by AI. And I'm not just talking about I'm talking about the stuff that gets made by hand, because there's a degree to which AI can do the mass production end of some of the skilled skill areas of skilled trades like carpentry. It can control a machine just as easily as you can control a machine, and robots are starting to do stuff like that. Right. So you can't just look at this in terms of, well, if I want to have a job in the future, going to college isn't going to make it any better than not going to college, right? Your cashier job is getting replaced by automated cashiers, cash registers that accuse everybody of stealing whether they did or not. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, there were boys that were getting jobs at local grocery stores where their job was stocking the shelves and also bagging the groceries and carrying the groceries out to the car and putting them in the car for the customer, right? Well, half that job's been eliminated, and they only need half the people to do the other half of that job. And more females are starting to take that job as well, especially now that instead of 20 cashiers, your local grocery store has a little corral with 20 little automated cashiers, automated registers, and one person running around dealing with all the errors they make, and the customer just has to wait. So a lot of those jobs that people would have done historically have been eliminated by these automated technologies. And it's only going to get worse. There are some companies now that are using driverless semis, driverless rigs. And so the trucking industry is now threatened, right? Because it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier to do things that would be considered abuse if you did them to a human. With an automated truck, it doesn't have to take breaks. It just has to refuel. Just has to be refueled, right? It doesn't have to nap. It doesn't have to have 8 hours in between runs. It doesn't have to keep a journal to prove that it's doing those things. It doesn't get sleepy on the road. So, yeah, they immediately, with the protests, the truckers protesting, they just, the elites have turned around and said, all right, we're going to target you guys. We're going to start using automated trucks. So if you're looking for places to go for work, I would say a lot of stuff is getting eliminated. Cut out a lot of what they teach you at university. But healthcare, that's going to be a lot more challenging for the elites to eliminate. It takes a lot more complexity to replace somebody who can put it in an IV, find a vein and put it in an IV, than it does to replace somebody who can control a machine. Creative fields, AI is going into that, right? AI is starting to create artwork. It's not really that much worse than a lot of cartooning and stuff like that today. AI is starting to write stories. AI is a better writer than the person who wrote 50 Shades of Grey, right? You could go into education, but pretty soon that's going to probably be AI eliminated. You could go into management, you could go into HR, but pretty soon those things are probably going to be AI run. So the main thing that you're going to have to look at in terms of work in the future is what can you do that requires human interaction with other human beings. And so if you're young and looking for, guidance as to what to go into, don't just take stay out of university as your way of doing things. Don't just take stay out of manual labor as your way of doing things because robots are being created. Don't just take stay out of desk jobs because AI is going to take over a lot of that. Look at what cannot be eliminated. Look for what absolutely requires a human being to oversee or actually do in order for another human being to benefit from it. Because those are going to be the only things left.
I am optimistic, and not necessarily about this data, but I think that why I'm optimistic is because people are talking about this that would not have been giving this attention 5 years ago, and they're paying attention, and it's become the talk of a big talk of the town. Like, what do we do for young men in particular? And I'm going to show you guys what I mean. And I know that people might not be happy with this, but so today I haven't finished it. I finished it today, but yesterday I think it was Charlie Kirk. You guys know Charlie Kirk? He was, I think it's like forget the name of his group, but he goes to college campuses, talks to kids. I mean, mostly talks to them, but the clips that go viral are usually debates with leftists on college campuses. But it's not really his thing. Turning Point USA is what it is. But he talks to kids, and he was on Tucker Carlson's show, and they had about an hour and a half, 2 hour long discussion, and most of it was about Gen Z men and what they are going through, and it was very sympathetic, and it was very honest, and there were a lot of really great things addressed in it that they were talking about. I was very encouraged by, because this conversation, even the whole, I know people want to, the bootstrapping, that didn't even come up. He was like, this is not what we need. We need to we figure this out, because young men are being left behind, and it is acknowledged that it is a feminine apparatus, a feminine setup that is doing this, and they talked about it for a good 2 hours, and they're basically, Charlie Kirk says that he talks to President Trump all the time, and that is something that Trump is also thinking about, which, remember, Trump acknowledged Men's Mental Health Month, put out a whole statement, did a thing with the White House, and he's trying to help out the mental health fields to be a little bit more understanding of men's position. And Lisa Brighton, who I also mentioned already, she's always doing stuff online. She made a post, and I'll share it here, where she says, I spoke with Trump advisor Alex Bruzewitz about what the president is doing to help young men. As Democrats are busy brainstorming ways to win men back, Republicans, I would say, specifically Trump Republicans, not all Republicans, are busy taking action to help our young men, Alex informs me. So I think what I'm getting at is, obviously, so I don't want to make this into a whole other big conversation. Obviously, the government doesn't solve these problems, but the fact that there is at least some acknowledgement that there are issues, and that men and boys in particular are an important part of that, I think that's massive. I think it's, no matter what you think, I think this is unprecedented. I didn't think this was going to happen this quickly. I'm very pleased. And I think that we should feel encouraged. We should pat ourselves on the back. if it weren't for people like us putting the word out there, it wouldn't have gotten to this point where we have people like Lisa Brighton, we have people like Arvis Owens, who's working with, the military to get due process. And they have these people have direct connections to the White House, to people in the White House. Okay. This is huge. And I think that we should not poo-poo this. I know that look, people are cynical. I get that, but let's be encouraging. Let's nudge. I say to, if you can, go to Tucker Carlson's channel, find the Charlie Kirk video, post a comment, tell them this is good. I'm glad we're doing this. This is very important. You don't have to name drop anybody, but just let them know that this discussion about young men in particular is absolutely crucial and that we're grateful that you're even bringing it up. So I just wanted to say that I'm encouraged by this. This is, a good thing. A good thing. I don't think how you could possibly poo-poo it. So anyway, let me see if there's any other super chows or super chats. No, nothing right now. Feel free to send some. So now we got to get into some, let's just say, in memoriams. So first, we have Ozzy Osbourne. So you guys probably know this. This happened on the 22nd. Ozzy Osbourne, the frontman for Black Sabbath and heavy metal pioneer, died on July 22nd, 2025 at age 76. Just a couple of weeks after his final performance at a Black Sabbath farewell concert in Birmingham, UK, titled Back to the Beginning on July 5th, 2025. His family announced he passed surrounded by his loved ones, including his wife Sharon and his children Amy, Kelly, Jack, and Lewis, with no specific cause disclosed, though he had battled Parkinson's disease since at least 2003 and faced other health issues, including a 2019 fall. Known as the Prince of Darkness, Osbourne shaped heavy metal with Black Sabbath's albums like Paranoid and pursued a successful solo career with hits like Crazy Train. His reality show, The Osbournes, broadened his fame. Tributes from musicians like Elton John, Metallica, and Aerosmith praised his legacy, with fans noting his poignant final Instagram post, Back to the Beginning, the final show. So, I don't know if anyone wants to say anything about Ozzy Osbourne. Absolute legend. That's all I'll say about that. So, are you guys there? Did I drop? Oh, okay.
No, you didn't drop. It's really hard to quantify, how much influence this man had, and it's one of those deaths that I think our whole generation is just gonna hurt to see him go, and I remember growing up, you knew a difference between people depending on whether or not they were familiar at all with
Black Sabbath.
Yeah, with Black Sabbath. Everybody was into whatever was pop at the time. Everybody was into hip hop. Everybody was into rap and everything. But you were kind of on the side a little bit if you knew Black Sabbath, right? If you remembered, and that was just, kids in the 80s, right? That were graduating high school in the early 90s. But yeah.
And somehow Keith Richards is still with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike, you're muted. Did you want to say anything? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Mike, are you there? Did he fall asleep?
I hope not.
Muted. He might be fighting with the mute button. I was sure that he would have something to say about Ozzy. I actually have a couple of other obituaries too. Yeah, Mike.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Should we look at some quotes? This is what I traditionally do when someone dies. We're going to look at some quotes from Mr. I think his name was John Osbourne, right? He's called Ozzy because his name.
I want to watch the second Austin Powers movie now.
But yeah,
is he in that one or the third one?
He's in one of them. He's appeared. Let's look at some quotes. Of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most. I'm not going to do an actual Aussie
Do an
impression.
Aussie impression.
I'm just going to do a Birmingham accent, and I'll do it. But yeah, of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most. Can relate. I think we all can. Quote, to be a liar, you got to have a great memory. And I don't have a memory. Very true. Everyone loses their memory eventually. It's up to other people to uphold you as a memory if they see fit. And we do, for Ozzy is a legend. What else have we got? I have a saying, never judge a book by its cover. I say that because I don't even know who Ozzy is. I wake up a new person every day. Well, not today, Sonny. Sorry, couldn't resist. Ozzy
would laugh
like
at that.
Ozzy would like that joke. Ozzy's a geezer. Quote, I got rabies shots for biting the head off a bat, but that's okay. The bat had to get Ozzy shots. Look at that. He is his own walking, talking Chuck Norris joke.
Yeah,
That should be a thing. We need Ozzy Osbourne jokes like we have Chuck Norris jokes. Make it happen, folks, from now on. Quote, being sober on a bus is like totally different than being drunk on a bus. He was quite the philosopher, ladies and gentlemen. He was the Carl Pilkington of metal. And frankly, that's the best thing you could possibly be. That's the best possible combination of things you could possibly be. Quote, I'm a very simple man. You've got to have like a computer nowadays to turn the TV on and off, and the nightmare continues. See what I mean? From the mouths of babes, as they say, or from the mouths of delirious boomers who have long since cabbaged their brain beyond all recognition.
Now that I think about it, that might have been the Parkinson's, but
Yeah,
possibly.
Maybe the drugs did the Parkinson's. So
it's conceivable.
well, they don't help treat it. That's for sure. Not those kind of drugs, anyway.
But I'm like, yeah, Ozzy made it to the age of 76. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a miracle.
Yeah.
We should not be mourning his death. We should be celebrating the miracle that he was able to live on this earth for 76 years, despite his entire body being made of drugs. It's a hell of an advertisement for drugs. But I wouldn't say that because that would be bad and wrong. Drugs are nature's gatekeeper.
sodium bicarbonate.
Drugs filter out those who cannot handle their drugs. And that, as it happens, is most people. Let us not fall foul of the apex fallacy. Yes, Ozzy took enough drugs to topple an entire ecosystem, and yet he still conquered the world and lived to a ripe old age. But that doesn't mean that you will too. In the event that you take a shitload of drugs. In all likelihood, you'll die in a puddle of vomit. Learn a skill, folks. Learn a skill, get really good at it, and then take a shitload of drugs. It'll help you work on your skill. For legal reasons, I must clarify that my previous statement was a joke, and that in no way do I sincerely believe that anyone should ever partake of mind-altering substances. They are, after all, illegal. Dr. Random McCann Munted News, Honey Badger Radio.
I got more. So it wasn't just Ozzy Osbourne that we're going to try to remember. By the way, wherever he is, there's a hell of a concert that's warming up with him and Lemmy and David Bowie. All of which
he's having a reunion with Randy Rhoads.
Yeah. Mama, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So not only did Ozzy Osbourne pass away, but also, maybe not all of you guys know this guy, but Malcolm Jamal Warner, best known for playing Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, died on July 20th, 2025 at the age of 54 in a drowning accident off of Costa Rica's Playa Grande near Cahuita. Caught in a riptide while swimming with family, he was declared dead by the Red Cross despite rescue attempts, with another man left in critical condition trying to save him. The autopsy confirmed accidental death by asphyxia due to submersion. Warner, a versatile actor and musician, starred in shows like The Resident and Read Between the Lines. Tributes from co-stars like Tracy Ellis Ross, Angela Bassett, and Bill Cosby highlighted his warmth, talent, and cultural impact, with Ross noting his role as her first TV husband. So the son on The Cosby Show, Theo, who I think he also appeared on a show called Community, and they did a nice little like Easter egg to The Cosby Show because he was wearing a colorful sweater, and they asked him, and he's like, "Oh, it's my father's." So this was sad because very like unexpected that he would find himself passing away in an accident like that. So
that one was a real shocker, and there's a lot of times people end up dying in swimming in deep water or coastal waters like that, where it's unpredictable in that circumstance. Sometimes the way the tide's going to go and the way currents are going to hit you, and how quickly you can become fatigued in if you're not in a pool, if you're in ocean water or you're in lake water and stuff like that, because it can be a lot colder and you don't realize that you're getting tired. There's a lot of shocker deaths like that. And it's really sad when it happens every single time. When I first saw this, what actually struck me, because the thing they ran across wasn't a statement specifically about Mr. Warner. It was Adam Sandler talking about him and their childhood and how his family was so nice to Sandler when they were growing up. And I thought, that's interesting, because it never would have occurred to me to think that all these guys had a childhood together, and actually a lot of them, a lot of the Gen Xers in Hollywood did, right?
yeah,
And I can't imagine how shocked everybody that knew him must be, and just you'd be broken. And I had a friend growing up who died from drowning in Indian Lake here in Ohio, and it just, I can't even begin to tell you how sideways that hits you. It's like being, walking across the street where there's no traffic at all, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a car hits you. It's that shocking and that much of a hit. So my heart goes out to his whole family and all of his friends. It is really sad.
Yeah, it was
it's just not
definitely
fair when this happens. It's never fair when this happens to anybody.
yeah, it's definitely not like very young. Like I'm about his age.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a shame.
And he was really, really good at what he did, and it was very entertaining to watch him. And I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I got one more. I don't know if Mike, you want to say anything about Malcolm Jamal Warner, but I know you'll have something to say about this last one. But go ahead.
I mean, in the event of the death of Ozzy Osbourne, I mean, I like Malcolm Jamal Warner. I have memories of him, but
Yeah,
Ozzy's just like fucking. I'm sorry.
He's a legend. No, I get it. I just want to be fair and cover all of them. How about this guy though? I don't know if you knew this, but Charles
Organ.
Yes, renowned
Of
American
course.
actor, dancer, and choreographer, passed away on July 19th, 2025 at the age of 81. He was best known for his role as Queeg 500, the strict backup computer in the second series of the BBC sci-fi sitcom Red Dwarf, and for choreographing the iconic tongue-tied dance sequence performed by Craig Charles, Chris Berry, and Danny John Jules in the same series. So there's no knowledge about how it happened, But yeah, so the guy from Red Dwarf has passed away as well. Nobody?
Well, 81 at least is a. Did it say
Full
what?
life, probably.
Yeah.
The cause is unknown right now.
It
I
could
didn't.
be.
I didn't know about
confirmed.
this until
You didn't
just
know?
now.
Oh,
And,
really? Oh.
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't either. I didn't see anything.
And I'm obsessed with Red Dwarf and everything about Red Dwarf, especially the first 6 seasons. So, yeah, that's just gone and hit me right there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm only just
No,
reeling from
no.
Ozzy and fucking Theo, and now you hit me with this.
Yeah, Queeg 500. So, yeah, we don't know anything. The news came through a friend named Courtney Baker Oliver, and then reported by multiple sources, including GB News, Daily Mail, and Mirror Online. Tributes focus on his legacy as an actor, dancer, and choreographer. So yeah, there's no official statement on the cause. So I will not speculate, but if maybe we'll learn something at some point. But that also happened. And I thought I would share for any fans of Red Dwarf that are out there. So
Celebrities be dying, man. Celebrities
yeah.
be keep dying. But
Yeah, I mean,
at least they're not
time.
dying from suddenly, like they were quite a lot a couple of years ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let us know what you guys think about this. Did you know about this news regarding these various deaths? I'm sure everybody knows about Ozzy, but yeah, the other ones. If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy their work? I'd like to hear that. So, all right. With all that said, this show was a slightly longer than normal sausage, but we got through it. We're going to now be going into the patron show. We're going to be looking at this article from the New York Times called "The Trouble with Wanting Men." So we're going to find out how women being heterosexual is a problem for them because I guess men are not good for women. And yet, you know, feminism's not anti-family or marriage or love or anything like that. So, but we will get into that in the patron show. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. I want to thank Mike and Hannah for lending their voices and giving their perspectives on today's stories. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of HBR News. And we will talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.